Call the Water Advisory Committee meeting to order. And circulated have been all the necessary papers, which you have in front of you. And first up is a review of the minutes from November 17. Are there any comments on those minutes?
No.
All right, so can I have a motion to accept the minutes? Motion moved by member Rudy. Ruby. Sorry. Ruby. Right. Seconded by, okay, that's okay. All right. Now, do we want to do?
Dan should be, said he's going to be here.
All right, so when
he comes in,
okay, fine.
give him his time and then let him get out.
All right, so
He's got school things.
Dan's Miller? Williams, sorry.
Yeah.
Dan Williams is speaking to number 6. So just a note on the agenda, when he comes, we will take number 6, wherever that happens to be. But given that he's not here yet, let's go to number 3, precipitation and well status report. Greg.
Okay, well, the report is here. We have the full, almost the full listing of data that was taken on November 17th when I was away. So that's why it didn't slip into the last month's meeting. Just to run down the key things to consider. Right now, I have the current drought intensity category as moderate drought. Is that everybody on that same line there? I tell you why, because I looked up on our website, and if you click on the drought status, it talks about guarded. So I think we need to modify the yellow teardrop.
Okay.
I'll send that information along if everybody's okay with that.
So we're using the terms that the drought early warning system is using, yes?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay.
That's what, on September. Should have put that out. It didn't. That was what we adopted. The language that we adopted was adopted September 25-ish, I guess. And I have it here, but I don't know where it is right now. So moderate drought still, which was the decision that we've made for the last 3. We've continued on for 3 months now at this point. The New York DEC. Since around April, we have been on their watch status. And the DEW's drought intensity, it's remained unchanged at abnormally dry. And one thing to comment is the intensity of a large area of New England, Maine and a couple of other New England states have some severe drought areas. And that can be seen on the backup page here with the, again, you can see watch. Normal would be without, right there. And you can see the intense area in New Hampshire and Maine and Vermont. And historically, we have watched periodically the drought intensity levels, moving down the coast, and up, you can really plot the intensity, the increase in intensity as you go along. We had the percentile level, which is this chart here, which shows the level. The average score is actually 1 percentage point difference from the last result. And it's that blue dot on the end of the trail. So we're in, we're not below what the milepost that we would we would ordinarily use as the 25% percentile as being the concern. The raw data, which is just the data from the data logging equipment, and Goat Hill took a little bit of a bump up, not much, but the other three wells, they have continued to fall down, and which is not atypical for November and even December, where you start to really kick it up in January.
May I make an observation?
Surely.
What's increased here, the range is not, we're not out, we're actually slightly above and slightly below the range of the entire graph. If you look at the 5-year historical graph, what's increased is the volatility. We've taken basically from the summer of 2024 till now to go from one end of an extreme of high level of water in the aquifer to low level of water in the aquifer, measured above sea level in the aquifer, as opposed to for 4 years from 2019, or 5 years from 2019 to 2024. We've done in 1 year what we did in 5 years in terms of the range of volatility. So the swings are more sudden. Or at least one point doesn't make a trend, but you know, if that were to continue, we'd be in an era of much higher volatility.
I'm looking at the lows keep going lower and lower too.
Absolutely, in this period.
That's the concern.
Sure.
Yeah.
Although the longer term is not down, it's up, but you have to look 20 years to see that.
Oh, yeah.
The highs are a little bit higher and the lows are a little bit lower.
Right.
Yeah, and that's what
The swing is quicker.
typically, I think mathematically or whatever, when you tend to see higher volatility, there's a greater risk you're going to break out of your range, right? Of
Like the stock market.
right, yeah, it's the same type of thing. So the risk that you're essentially going to have a worse downside is something that we're very conscious of.
On either end.
Yeah.
Flood and
Yeah,
water.
could be really too much. Yes.
Okay, and then the rainfall to date, I use the, excuse me, I didn't have information, I don't have a gauge, but I use the Weather Underground system. And November was slightly below the normal month, which was at their numbers in between 2 and 2.5 inches of rain. And December, so far, not counting the snow outside, was only 0.8 inches. So it looks like there does not seem to be a significant rain event forecast, at least 10 days out from when this was printed up.
It's not getting better quickly.
So, the condition or what we want to agree on or disagree, as the case may be, is right now we're at moderate drought status. Based on the numbers that we have here, I think that we haven't changed markedly from the previous month and the previous month before that in terms of staying with the moderate drought condition. So I think that the case could be made with this information that it's not getting worse. It might be getting a little bit better, but it's not. There are reasons to say, such as I say, December has been a pretty dry month. It probably would be better just to hold on to the moderate drought, and we'll find out what happens in the full scope of December. Maybe we'll get a foot or two of snow.
So in terms of discretionary water use, we're past that season, pretty much, right?
Yeah.
Discretionary water use.
You would think so, yes.
Nobody's washing their cars outside.
Watering their lawns, all that stuff, filling pools. That's not happening now. So we're not about to change, we're frankly not going to change any behavior.
That's correct.
But for consistency, it would seem to merit just staying on same plane.
Yeah.
Say, I'm sorry,
For consistency of message, it would make sense to, as you say, just keep it where it has been.
yeah. And then we'll, in January, I think, then we'll have the January results as well. At that point, we can say, okay, where are we at now? And we might want to reduce the intensity value and drop down to moderately or abnormally dry. But I think that would be the decision that I would think that we would want to consider more in January when we have a good basis of what's happening.
Well, once we get into January, we're getting in, well, we should be getting into the recharge season.
Should be, yeah. But,
So that doesn't happen, we should,
You should be alert to that.
We should be
January
alert to
to
that.
February, you should be alert to that.
Yeah, I think, well, hopefully we will get the recharge and it's just going to come slower. I think if we don't get the recharge, and I don't know what point that is, kind of the February meeting, I think we need to think more strategically about what should we be doing leading into spring, if anything, if we believe we are starting out at a very low level.
the percentile rank scores, they take into account in terms of comparison to the history of where we are. So we'll find out what it looks like when we have next month, I think. So that would be,
Okay,
it's
so-
time to a motion or whatever.
The recommendation is, the motion is moderate drought and no change in the recommended, because we have a voluntary restriction on outdoor water use at this point. We'll keep that in place, though that's not likely to be very relevant because no one's out there doing it anyway.
Yes.
And then we should foreshadow or look for an improvement or an increase in the recharge as we get into January and February. And if that doesn't happen, we need to think about the implications of that for the April-May timeframe when people start watering again.
Correct. I think having that conversation early, whatever it may be, if we find ourselves the case, what are the tools we would even consider, or what, having that conversation early, so we don't find ourselves at a meeting debating and, it's upon us, right?
Right.
And you probably need more to flip back than if you
Yeah.
just kept things the way they are right now. And
Okay?
yeah,
Yes.
All right. Do we need a motion on that? Or did I just make it?
Motion to maintain the recommendation.
Motion to maintain our current guidance. Period.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds like a motion that I'd second.
Okay. Any seconds? All those in
I think
favor?
we have unanimous consent.
All right, fine. Dan, I think has just
Yeah, it's
arrived.
just arrived.
yeah,
Right, so let's take item 6 on the agenda, which is the report on the private well chloride testing.
Yeah.
Introduce yourself and you're on.
Okay. Hi. Dan Williams, high school science teacher at Shelter Island High School. Thank you for having me. And thank you for allowing us to participate with this great saltwater intrusion study. The study's been going a little bit slower than I had hoped for, and that's actually on me. I had a bit of my mother passed away, and so basically the month of October and November just kind of didn't happen, which means a lot of the plans that I had with a lot of things didn't work. But on the good notes, we have now done approximately half of the samples. We have about 80 samples, and we've done 39 of them. Mr. Rubia had originally sent over a group of about 19, and then today I sent over the other samples that have been tested. So you have a PDF in your inbox.
terrific. Thank you.
Looking at these samples, they were tested by my marine science class and the AP environmental science classes over at the school. The way that we did this was there was an introduction. We had them read some articles on saltwater intrusion, including one from, I believe it was from the Reporter, where it was listed out what was some of the concerns that we have here locally. We then also in marine science, because we go into the local geography of everything, we looked at the aquifer studies and things like that, including I found a study was done back in the 1980s, which is a lot very similar, where it was showing where the aquifer was very shallow and where the aquifer was very deep. So then the students learned how to work with the titrators. And so in marine, we were a little bit more loose in that we demoed it, we showed it, and then we watched and said, oh, there's some quality control issues that we were concerned over. So before we did it in AP Environmental, the 3 science teachers got together in one of our periods and we tested them all again and found out that what the students were doing was perfectly fine. So we trust the results. At this point, 39 samples have been tested, 6 are in the caution area. So it only goes up to 200 parts per million, which I was told by Mr. Ruby was, in an area that we're cautious about, but the tests don't go past that. So we have 6 in the cautious area. The unfortunate thing that we have, well, fortunate, not fortunate, but I only have phone numbers and I have the data. I don't know where these people are. So I look forward to, we have these maps that we're going to start overlaying and being able to see. Anecdotally, students recognize 1 or 2 phone numbers, and they say, "Oh, so, well, no." They said, "That's so-and-so's phone number. I know where they live." West Neck area was showing up. We had more than one high number in the West Neck area of the island, which actually matches what I saw back from the 1980s. That was an area of concern. But other than that, I don't know, and I'm very much looking forward to where we find out. Last time I looked at the bin, we had a new sample. I don't know if that's a new sample.
That's a new sample.
Darn. But last time I looked at the bin, we had 1 new sample, so it's kind of petered out at this point. So I don't know if we want to put another call out. I still have a lot of sample containers in the classroom. I don't know what the library has, but I have a lot of sample containers left over. And we did not get all the residents of the island, not even close. So
How many test kits are left? That's going to be the limiting.
that would be a good thing to look up before I came here. I was more concerned about how many samples we had.
Yeah, no, I think we ordered 90, so you
Yeah.
probably have about 30 or so left.
At least. And 1 or 2 we just used for our quality control to say, okay, this, so what we did was we made basically a series of salt solutions to try to mimic what would be out there, to say, okay, if this is what we're seeing in nature, is it going to pop? And, how is it going to do? Because we were a little concerned about what the students were doing. But it seemed to mimic everything the students were doing. So yeah, we're probably about 30 samples left. I have 40 more samples in my classroom, so that might mean that we have a couple water samples we can't do. So I have 30 titrators left, about 40 samples left.
Oh. So maybe we'll have to order some more. I wouldn't want to turn down.
I wouldn't either.
Good, thanks, Dan.
Right.
It sounds like it's right on.
Yeah. And after the first of the year, so again, life was a little complicated in October, November.
Sorry for your loss.
Thank you. And December's been picking things back up. One of the things I do is I'm the science fair coordinator at the school. And not only do we do science fair, but I have most of the 7th, 8th, and 9th grade students come to my lab to do the work, which means that's my number one. That's why I asked to be moved up on the agenda, because as of 10 minutes from now, my room's going to be buzzing with a lot of students looking to do things, and I want to be there. But that also means I'm not paying a lot of attention to the science club kids, which are going to finish this. So as soon as the first of the year rolls around, science club's going to kick back in, and we're going to have a party. I'll feed them, and we'll get a lot of these out.
So we're open to a presentation from the students
Would love it.
at whatever time and whatever format
Okay.
you think. So let Dave know
Okay.
how much time you'd want and how you'd like to organize it. We're interested in both sending the message out to the community that this is important and that we recognize the effort. We're also interested in the substantive results because that'll just add to our knowledge base and the community's knowledge base. And we're also interested in giving the students an opportunity to come present to a real live body here that recommends to the town board how we handle these issues.
So let me talk to Dr. Dolger. If he has any, concerns or constraints, he won't, but just, that's where I need to go.
Yep.
We do.
And, after that, I'll talk with Mr. Ruby about, what it sounds like we can do, and we'll come up with something from there. I have been very clear to the students all along, I'm looking for volunteers to present to the town. So they're excited.
We should have the addresses on the vials to the extent that people put them on.
Some did,
I
yeah, a lot of them didn't.
can't force them.
And what we did do is we labeled all the vials, so that way, whatever the phone number is, it has also been given a lab label of
Control number.
number one, number whatever, so that way I can go back and look at them. And that also would have been kind of neat for me to go back and look for the addresses. I didn't think of that until you just mentioned it. Some of them are there. We could
Still have the vials.
I do. Saved everything.
We haven't lost the data,
Yeah.
except to compile it.
Yeah.
That's good.
Okay.
Yeah, that was,
Have we figured out how we're
Yes.
informing them?
we're gonna get
That's
to
next
that.
year. No.
No, we got, as soon as we let Dan go.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay,
Sounds great.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Thank you again for including us. It's been a lot of fun.
thank you for doing it, leading it.
Thank you. Have a great time.
So maybe maybe January's meeting.
Yeah.
Let's think about January's meeting for the students to,
Okay.
that would seem like it's, the first of the year is wrapped up, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
It's also February, if you guys need
Yeah,
to find.
right.
Yeah, no, it's not, we're just,
Yeah. February might be more realistic in that we push Science Fair, which is normally a December thing, to January 23rd.
February,
So February would be
good, yeah.
more realistic, unless it falls in silly school breaks.
March,
but,
yeah.
So we'll figure it out. Okay?
No, but think about
Great,
this
thank
from,
you.
from a
Thank you.
message value standpoint.
Yes.
This is real work
Mhm.
getting talked about around 80 dinner tables.
Mhm.
That's what's happening. All right, so in, one of our objectives is public education and public engagement. Really critical for this. It's great. It's terrific.
Constructive on so many levels. So, yeah.
And I expect when the results come out, people are gonna say, hey, I should put my vial in, so.
That's also, yeah, because
There's a wave of them.
why didn't
Another
I
way.
do it? Yeah.
So we have the vials, what we need is the
Right.
test.
Yeah.
That's great.
Great.
And some young minds that might come up with fresh ideas in the future.
Future WAC members.
Okay,
Dan,
Thank you for letting me
thank you.
speak a little early, so I can go back
you.
no
and
problem.
do my day job. Thank you.
Yep, thank you. Okay,
But before we leave, maybe Jessica wants to can you pull up the two pages, if that's disseminate the results? There's one is the explanation of the test, which you have in your minutes. That's this page. Yeah, that would be the introduction page on the town website.
right?
It's hard to see, but on the top line, it says click here to get to the next results page. But that's all the text that you have in front of you. Then you can go to the other HTML page, and that's where you would put in a phone number that you
Okay.
wrote on your
Right.
file.
Right,
If you get results, if the results are in, you'll get a return result right under that box. If you don't, you get say, sorry, call the Water Advisory Committee. But this is, we don't need to have people doing this, and it's on the website, so
so
people can get the results.
the result's going to come back as a single number parts per million
Yeah,
in their sample.
yeah.
And is the paper, could you go back to the first page, Jessica?
Yep.
Yes, it's going to give them,
The interpretation.
so if they're up over, let's say they're between, let's say they're 60 or up or 100 and up, are we going to recommend that they do anything?
The state limit is 250.
Right?
I mean, we say you should keep an eye on it, But that's, we can put on whatever we like as far as the, between 30 and 200. We're saying you should monitor your water and perhaps get, and you should, everybody should do it anyway. They should get a professional test from the county or one of the water suppliers.
I'm just wondering if we should put a sentence in there to that effect. If you're over 250 or if you're over 200.
200 is going to be the top, right? So
200 is their measurement limit.
Right. So they're going to see that, but at 200, you certainly, it would be, I would think we should recommend you go ahead and test your water professionally.
Yeah.
I think that's testing professionally, that makes sense. In terms of before you'd be saying, take action on 100 with this system. It could be dead on, but we don't know. But looking and saying, okay, you should go to a professional and you should get your water tested.
There are lots of
Early
caveats
indication that you might
in
need
this
that.
text, so
That's a good point.
send the suggestions, I'll put them in.
Okay. I would say, get your water tested and the Suffolk County Health Department will do it for $100.
Do that too.
Because that is,
And give you all the other.
Yeah.
and give you everything else.
else, yeah. Put an ad in for the Suffolk County. Oh, is the Suffolk County request form, that's also on the website.
It is.
So we could link that in.
Right, link that,
We could link that into this at the same time.
and then ask them on a voluntary basis to submit their results to our website.
Yeah.
Because there will be people who will get this information, who will see that they're in some kind of a zone that they ought to be concerned about, but they really won't know what to do.
Yeah.
So let's guide them.
Next step.
Next steps, right? Okay.
You saw that Joe had written. Joe emailed that she wasn't.
Yes, I just learned that seconds ago, right before you came in. So the next steps would be, if you're up around 200, get your water tested. Suffolk County, link the Suffolk County Department of Health form. Ask them to submit their results to our website.
Maybe we should get another 2 sets of kits, comes 30 tests per kit.
Look, they're not very expensive,
No,
so
I know.
whatever you think.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
because,
Sure,
okay,
right.
thank you.
See what's left in the budget for this year?
Yeah, oh,
Probably tens of dollars, aren't we?
it's $1 a test.
Yeah. So it's,
Yeah.
Right.
No, this is the best bang for the buck.
right. Okay,
I was concerned, that the shipping cost, because it was hazmat, would exceed the cost of the test, but I guess
Okay.
it didn't ring any alarm bells here, so.
all right. So that's item 6 on the agenda. And now we're back onto the order. Item 4, and I will report on the USGS 10-year baseline study update. Our federal colleagues are back at work. Last week, Joe and myself and Peter had a conversation with the two lead scientists who are handling this for the USGS.
Who was that?
Caitlin, yeah, don't remember the name, sorry.
Finkelstein.
Yes.
And Pam Riley. Caitlin Pam is the senior. What title it is.
Kate and panel.
Right. So the reason we had the call was that we last did this testing in 2016, 17, and 18 or thereabouts. And the cost in conversation, the number that was bandied around in conversation was like $30,000 or $40,000. And the cost proposal to do a similar analysis in 2026, 27, 28, including PFAS, which wasn't done before, including 1,4-dioxane, which wasn't done before, was in the neighborhood of like 240,000. So it's like, why has this cost gone up? Question for us was, why has this cost gone up by a factor of 6 to 7 times? And here's what came out of that call. First, we need to nail down exactly what our 2016, 17, 18 cost was, because is that talked about number of 30 to 40,000 just a single year number, or was it the 3-year number, so that we can actually compare it to the proposed number? That was one conclusion. Then we got into a discussion of what we wanted to achieve and how to achieve it. And in using my kind of liberal arts grocery store English, we're trying to understand the extent of the human influences on the island's aquifer and what those influences actually mean to us, could mean to us from a policy standpoint, and also understand the trending. The difficulty with the trending is we did it once in 2016, 17, 18. We'll do it again in 2026, 27, 28. But those two time frames don't make a trend. So we're a little bit, we have to be somewhat careful about drawing conclusions from the second round. But with that caveat, we still want to do a second round.
And a third round,
And a third round when,
which will make a trend.
correct, well, yes, but not, in other words, let's not all leap to some grand conclusions off what
No.
we get 2026, 27, 28.
How old am I already, you know?
Right, okay.
Well, that's why we have these high school kids come.
So here's where we landed. We landed was, let's cost out 3 wells over 3 different wells over 3 years. In other words, a total of 9 wells tested, 3 in the first year, 3 in the second year, 3 in the third year.
The same wells.
The
No,
wells we had used previously, and just, I'm sorry to interrupt, but when we looked at apples to apples in terms of costs, Greg, you were there. I believe we had purchased 3, 3, and 3 tests. each year.
different wells.
3 different wells
Sets.
in each of 3 years for a
Correct.
total of 9 wells. They were pricing out 15 wells. The additional 6 wells, I believe, came from other studies funded elsewhere that just happened to be on Shelter Island. So they were able to add additional data points in the final year, in the 2018 year. But we had budgeted the WAC study, 3-year study was 3 wells, 3 wells, and 3 wells for a total of 9.
Right, we're going to do that again. Same wells as before, all right? As we're done in 2016, same well sets in each one of those 3 years. We're going to cost it out with and without PFAS and 1,4-dioxane. We are going to add the interpretive peer-reviewed analysis in year 4. And that was very important to Joe, because his view was, look, we're going to get all this data, but we want an objective assessment of what it means.
And again, budget-wise, in terms of apples-to-apples comparison, we did not have an published peer-reviewed interpretive study in our 2016 to 18 period.
Right. And we're going to get, based on that scenario, we're going to get a cost breakdown per year. Do the first well set, that's 1 year's worth of work. Second year is the second well set of 3. Third year is the third well set of 3. Fourth year is the interpretive work. So it all may add up to $200,000 or whatever it's going to add up to, but it's going to be staged over time that way. And so we're expecting that the cost of that scenario coming back to us. I think we're going to do it within the next month. So by January, we ought to know what those costs are. But it was it was a really productive discussion. And it was good to eyeball those people and for them to eyeball us, admittedly over Zoom, so that we could make those connections. And I closed with a thank you to them for their federal service, which has got to be difficult in this period because what they're doing is important. And so it's important to us, and by extension, it's important to other clients too, but it's important to us. And so we are trying to get to yes with this. Now, once we have a testing scenario and cost that we're comfortable with, and maybe it'll be what comes back to us before the January meeting, or maybe not, but we'll present all that to you. Presumably, we'll get comfortable with something. Then we need to have a discussion with the town board about the funding source for that, and also with the Water Quality Improvement Advisory Board as to whether on an ongoing basis we should look to that source of funds to do our testing. But we can't have that discussion until we really understand the costing around this particular set of tests.
I'm not sure about that. It's, the state, the enabling legislation from the state here on, they threw out all of the categories that we used to use, and this sort of work really didn't jump out in that list. But they now have that other group, the Peconic Estuary, and that group is supposed to be the people that would take a request like this and say, okay, we've looked at it all, and they would either bless it or kick it out. So
I'm happy to have that discussion with them. I just want to have conviction on our part that what we're recommending that they spend the money on is something that we think is worth spending the money on and properly priced. Right now, we can't do that.
Yes.
Because we need to sort out, what did we spend 10 years ago? What are we spending now? Why do we think this is worth it? Okay, fine. Once we get to that level of conviction, then let's have that discussion. Otherwise, to me, it's too abstract. Particularly when there's someone could make the argument that there's an 8 times cost increase, which we don't think there is, but let's put that to bed.
yeah, okay.
So that's where we are. So yes, Sean.
Just I generally agree with what you say, that as early as we can do it, fine. And if it's another step before we do that, the question for me would always be, do we need to consult them, or can we get comfortable within and I don't know if that conclusion has already been derived yet of, can we get comfortable that we could use the QI funds for it without going and throwing something out there? So that's just, there's always a choice of maybe not choosing to ask because we can get comfortable. I don't know where people are in that. The other is the original 9 wells that now we're focusing on. Presumably when we did those in the past was the case, but you believe they, without having it in front of me, have enough geographic diversity?
Here's the distribution.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and what's really interesting about this, and I realize everybody's not seeing it, it is on the website, so we might be able to pull it up, but the first year, the 2016, that would be the center, where we had in 2016 greater than 10 milligrams of nitrogen come up in their test. Menantic Peninsula, and also Crescent Beach. So really nice, kind of nice, right in front of Sunset Bar and Grill. So really nice kind of distribution of different kinds of scenarios that we're looking at. Yeah.
And each year distributed too, so you're not kind of.
And each year they're distributed. Yes,
yeah, you're kind of spreading each 3 out, everything. Yeah.
It looked like you had it up there for a second. Yeah, I mean, it's worth just seeing because and you'll see actually the thing that came up in terms of the distribution of the final year. So if you go down to where the dots are, it's a page. Well, we're seeing it on the screen there.
USGS didn't drop their teeth about the costs. Right? And-
They understood
Actually,
that
this
we
is-
wanted
This is actually different.
to reduce it.
You're on a
But
different study.
they didn't say like, we have. to
That's not the
because
correct study.
Federal budget
Nope.
is now,
Yeah.
so,
That wasn't even discussed.
no, so the likelihood is that 2016.
It's the
costs were
USGS study. It is
Some
posted in
other
our documents.
Activities, yeah, yeah. You can't go back and look. Okay.
Okay, so watch this space, all right? Scope and cost to come back in January.
Yeah, that's it. And if you, yeah, I think,
There you go, yep,
there you are.
that one right there.
So there you can see the 2016 are the yellow dots, the 2017 are the orange dots. And then in 2018, there's a large number of red dots, many of which were added to the study and were not part of what we originally had contracted.
But they were included.
They were included, they concluded them, they had the budget for doing those tests and they added it to the data. And my hope actually is that they have a lot of programs that come through and my hope is that over the course of 2026 through 2028 or 2029, they'll have things that they can add. We'll get some freebies.
Yeah, that are being funded
Elsewhere.
elsewhere,
Right.
but will nonetheless add to our knowledge base.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Um,
But it would be great to just, stick with the 333 that we had chosen because if we can establish, we know which ones they are for 16 and 17. So for 26, 27, we're clear on those. And for 28, we can decide which ones were key ones.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any more on this topic? Okay, moving along. Saltwater intrusion study from the USGS, that's a Joe update, so that's going to have to be tabled. The data that we're getting through the website, people providing their well tests on a voluntary basis to our website, that was a Joe Fenor item, so that needs to be tabled. The Center Triangle water testing update. There is a public hearing on the evening of the 22nd of December, 1 week from tonight, to consider, to take public input on an ordinance to have that funded by the water quality improvement funds. Remember, it's circa 250 tests. To be done in the center triangle, to be undertaken by the Suffolk County Department of Health, and with the intent to follow up on the nitrogen finding from the earlier testing that we did. The question being, we have 44% of the wells tested under that program showed over 5 milligrams per liter. That compares to a background level of 2 to 3. The only real explanation for that is that those wells are under the influence of septic. If that's true, then the question that you have to ask yourself is, what else is in that water? And that's what this is, that's the purpose of this testing. Remember, we're going to do the testing in just 2 zones to start with. South of town, and let's get my directions right. South of town first, and then north of town second. There were 13 zones. We're going to do 3 zones to start. We believe those 3 zones have approximately 200 wells to test, so we would do 100 of them. Because we're trying to get 50% coverage. Joe Fenora is going to pick the wells to be tested. It's voluntary, so then we'll go through an exercise of writing those homeowners or business owners, whomever, and say, your well has been selected for testing. Will you please participate? We'll pay for it. And if a homeowner or business owner refuses, Joe will pick a well nearby so that we get good geographic dispersion within the zones. The results that are going to come back are going to tell us by zone what percentage of the wells are non-potable, why they're non-potable, if any are non-potable, why they are, and we'll also get the full reports from Suffolk County. We will not, however, get the individual address. The only locational information we will get will be the zone. But we will have chosen the wells in the zone so that we know we're getting a pretty good distribution.
That's clever. That's new also, as far as I know.
Yes, that was your idea.
Oh, no, I don't think so.
Well, anyway,
I'm not knowing, I get it, but then, and how we might not know, but having Joe pick
Yes.
the addresses,
Yeah.
that's a great idea.
right. So that's where that's going. If anybody wants to come and support this at the public hearing next week.
Yeah.
Great, that's a great data, the 22nd.
Well, I didn't pick it. But I'll be here and I'll make a presentation. It'll be more artful than the one I just gave. And
22nd at
6 p.m.
6 p.m. Okay.
Right. And Jessica, you have my slides.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So that's where that is. Now, next on the agenda is water testing weekend, which is a brilliant idea.
About that, but
Yes, it's a brilliant idea. And
take credit when you can sing.
it's a brilliant idea. It is our second brilliant idea. Our first brilliant idea is this chloride testing, okay? But this is a great idea. And I just want to say that water testing weekend doesn't quite have the ring to it that the Burning Man does. Okay?
We can add any element you want.
Okay, I'm just saying we could use a little more razzle dazzle, like Burning Man.
Drowning Man, though.
But,
Yeah, more like drowning.
okay, so with that intro, you have circulated an outline for that.
I have,
We have in our
you know what?
docs. And I really want to do this.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's not complicated. It's, I think the expression's flood the zone, that if we want to get messages out to people, put people out on the ground, engaging people in as many spots as possible. So that is then not only signage to begin with to create awareness, but also creating a handout that everyone is comfortable with, describing why we're encouraging it, a little bit about what we know, where there are resources, giving them a copy of the application so that they can have it with them. We talked about maybe even adding this, the salt water thing to it. I mean, I think you can create a little 3-page, stapled together thing to hand out to people. And I think it's just a matter of how many spots you want to pick. I think, you devote 4 hours on a Saturday, assuming that the weather is cooperative, and you just put it you have people at every stop that is frequented on a Saturday morning. Personally, I'd love to see all of us out there, all of the town board out there, all of the CAC members, try to get as many kind of core volunteers from the committees, as well as then we can ask other people and create a schedule for where people are supposed to be for their 2 hours, give them the collateral material, and then there you go. I mean, you can only lead, can only lead a horse to water, but like we keep saying, we're not getting the engagement. I don't think that we've engaged people at that level yet. And then you kind of see what it stirs up.
So, having done some events in my work with the Coast Guard Auxiliary, it's a lot of work. So I have one request, or two questions. One, it shouldn't all be on one person to drive it.
Well, I was definitely going to make that point.
So-
I'm happy to lead. Yeah.
Who
Yeah.
would like to work with Sean on this? Okay? Do you want more?
I think for the core of I think Peter and I together could create a document for a review of a handout that makes people feel comfortable and not alarmist and all the things that, people have screamed about in the past with enough information, some catchy slogans or what have you. Once we have that, I think, it's a matter of picking a weekend. And I think there's a question of, is Memorial Day too, kind of weekend too early? Do you want it to be warmer and wait kind of into July? I can go either way. And we create a schedule and we just, badger people of, we need 2 hours of your time. Sign up and you're going to be at IGA at that time and the materials will be there waiting for you. And
Yeah, I think that the recruiting of people and also providing those people with something, with a sort of a couple page prep sheet.
Yep.
So that they're ready for questions that they're going to hit
Yep.
when they're in front of the IGA or whatever about
Yep.
water and Shelter Island.
Yep.
I think that those are.
I think if we do a one-pager explaining, hey, take this home and look at it, it should be self-explanatory, right? We can say pretty quickly, there are some evidence all around Long Island, including here locally, and we're encouraging people to test, and this is what, PFAs are, and this is what, whatever, and these are things you should be concerned about.
So are we going to are we going to urge them to get their water tested by Suffolk County Department of Health? And then also.
Who's them?
And then ideally residents.
Or
We're receiving the handouts.
And then ideally
I'm also
also,
thinking about the people who are giving the handouts, the people that we would recruit to help us themselves should be knowledgeable about their own water. They should be engaged.
Yes.
yeah.
And so I would think that a meeting with them, not
Yes.
just,
Yep.
finding them.
Have a little volunteer meeting. Yep.
Sometime ahead of time in the spring and,
Yep.
right, okay.
Okay.
Don't forget Dan's students.
Yeah, no, and I'm assuming, I would like for the proper emphasis, I would like ideally all the town board and the CAC and, the people who are supposed to be on the front lines to be present, and showing their support. But then also there's going to be enough bodies that we need, high school students and whoever else. And
I would just point out that the people that we reach out to at the tables, that's a very minimal commitment from them to stop, say hello at the table and take something and chat.
Yep.
The people who sit at the tables,
Yep.
you're having a very big impact on them and you're creating an army of proselytizers.
yeah,
So
Okay, so you're anticipating some kind of I don't want to say tutoring exercise, but some kind of a get-together of the people who are handing the stuff out.
Right.
Like, this is what we're doing, this
They
is
need
why
some
we're
training
doing
and
it.
they,
Yes.
yes, yeah.
Okay, so that would be, we're really talking about two events.
It is,
The
there's a
first
second event.
The first event could be a Zoom call.
It could be done on Zoom.
But we need those people to, they don't have to get together in a room if it's more comfortable. If we can find a place to have coffee together, great. If Zoom is a simple thing, is the simpler thing, that's great too. But I just think that, and we don't want these people just for just once. They should become the people that we can draw upon over
it would be
time.
nice to, yes.
True groupies.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Let's make this a standing item in our
Yeah,
meetings.
I think
And
Peter and I can work on collateral material in the next month, or so that we have, people have a sense of what we're talking about. And then I think if we can at some point in January, February, try to make a tentative decision about where in the calendar would look, then we just create more of a specific calendar of action, the steps to get to that point.
So January, just trying to move things along.
Yep,
January, a proposed date or dates.
yep. And some draft collateral material.
If, all right, but I was also thinking in terms of the sequence, basic sequence of events leading up, trying to find the candidates, signing them up, having the tutoring. You know, there's a publicity angle to it.
Yep.
Yeah, they're seeking names in February
Yep.
and March. There is gathering those people in April
Right.
to be sort of prepping for what it is we're doing, planning on doing, and that we're planning to do it, you know. Now, we call it Water Testing Weekend. Would a more dynamic name be Water Testing Weekends?
That makes
Well,
a
we
difference.
can work on
I mean,
that.
each weekend you do it could be water testing.
Or ask.
I mean, you know, you could do one in July.
Ask ChatGPT to come up with something.
We could, I was being a little bit tongue in cheek comparing it to the Burning Man
Mhm.
event, but I'm not often swayed by a lot of razzle dazzle, but razzle dazzle has its place.
Calling some attention is important.
Yes, yeah. So we should do what we need to do to have this a top of mind event. I'm just guessing middle of June, early July. So, okay, all right.
Shelter Island World Cup. Maybe Super Water Bowl.
World Testing Cup.
Ken Lewis in one of his outfits and his microphone, and, you know,
That's the way to do it.
starting. Do you have any concerns or inhibitions as long as the messaging is right and the,
Yeah,
Is there any-
my only question I had on here was nitrogen testing strips and instructions. So you're thinking of just the little strips you dip and then,
well, yeah, I mean, we were talking about salt, we were talking about nitrogen, we were talking about all adds on the things we could do. That,
My
most
only-
importantly is the Suffolk part, but I think it's a question of, is there something else we want to throw on there?
logistically, you're gonna want people to come to you with water and then you're sitting stationary because you wanna be able to match it against the bottle because it's color coordinated, right? So you get a high pink, it'll tell you where it belongs on the strip. It's hard to copy that and give people the color strip to take to match their strip to, because your
Yeah, that's a fair point,
copies aren't
yeah.
gonna match the bottle. It's
The exact
just-
color, yeah.
It's very hard to do, I've tried
Yeah,
it. So like logistically, that might be a tough one, but everything else I think sounds good.
Okay,
Still have plenty of containers.
yeah,
Yeah.
we'll flesh
Well,
it
that's the
out
thing,
so
like,
they make it
people-
more.
and, you know, you could have the containers, people could take them, bring their water for the salt water testing. You can even just take a little bit of that water, do the nitrogen strip. It's not complicated, it takes 2 seconds. Then you can match it right there. They can see it, they can look at it, they can judge too, you know.
Yeah, and the only other, and then we should move on because we'll flesh it out and we'll
Right.
bring it, is the greatest result would be Suffolk County calling us saying, what the hell did you do? We just got a huge influx. I think that's a good thing. It might take them a long time to work through it, but is there any
We should tell them.
political ramification that we should say, hey, we're going to really make a big push locally?
We've had a conversation with them
Yeah.
about the center triangle testing.
Yeah,
The center triangle testing, if we do everything that we say we're going to do, will represent something like 30% of their annual workload, just the center triangle.
yep,
If we all of a sudden get 1,000 people to participate in water testing event, that's going to be another year's worth of workload for them. So we should let them know
yep, that's fine. Well,
that, and I'm happy, because I'm dealing with them on the center triangle, I'm happy to, I owe Jason Heimel an email.
yep,
So I'm happy to tell them that we're
and if they're
planning this.
maybe I'm naive as well, but if they are not substantially increasing their annual budget every year for water testing, they're being naive because everything we're hearing just keeps getting worse and worse. So hopefully people will become more aware. So
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think some of it will depend on timing. It'll depend on when we start doing the center triangle and getting
Yeah.
those entered to them.
Right.
And, you know, if this happens before that, it may not be a conflict, you know, so
Right,
there's
yeah.
some things we can have.
Yep.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right, this is great. This is, I remember Peter saying at one point when we were doing our planning for this year, test, and more testing. So
Yeah.
this is all about
That's
that.
it, exactly.
It's also all about engagement, public engagement. It's great. Okay, next is item 10, drop off for surplus
Which is me.
pharmaceuticals. That's you.
So first, in the packets is the sign that we had done previously, Lisa Fadal had done. I've spoken with her. Her son is, actually did the graphics work and has the design and is able to modify it as we desire. With the pharmacy shutting down, it feels like it does need a modification, and also we need a renewed push that I think that the basic idea of this sign is exactly right, because essentially what you're trying to avoid is somebody flushing, pouring down the drain, or disposing directly in their garbage unused pharmaceuticals. You're kind of, if you think about it, you're really trying to reach people at the point when they are discarding. So, general awareness that these are the ways you shouldn't be doing it. But now what we need to do is make sure that what it says below is what you should do instead. Now, I communicated with, so what we don't have is the Shelter Island Heights Pharmacy. We do still have the blue box located in the police department. I communicated with Chief Reed. I sent you all, he had pictures of the blue box in the police station. He's, said, he's aware that some people are reluctant to come into the police station to do disposal, but they've tried to make it as no muss fuss as possible. So I think that's probably your first go-to, because it's the simplest thing, is just go to the police station, you can drop off, rather than, especially, you're clearing out somebody who's passed away and there's a whole medicine cabinet full of medication. The temptation is just to dump it. So continuing with the police department is good. Chief Reed did say that we've had some problem with creating another drop-off other than the pharmacy. Partly the pharmacies are okay, police station is okay, mostly because police station has got police presence. Doing it directly at the dump would not be okay unless we had police presence at the dump. But Chief Reed did say that Jen Beresky at the PD is the contact person for something called Med Project, which is a program for setting up different drop boxes. So I don't know whether we're yet thinking about locations for maybe a pharmacy or a pharmacy drop-off or a pharmacy pickup location on Shelter Island. We may want to wait until we kind of have a plan in mind and discuss with Jen and with Med Project whether that could also become a drop-off location. I also spoke with both Sag Harbor Pharmacy and Colonial Drugs in Greenport. Both of them are delighted to do a drug pickup, which might actually be the most convenient for people. I have an appointment tomorrow morning at 9 to meet with the pharmacist at Greenport Pharmacy, at Colonial Pharmacy. She just wanted to talk with me about, what we were hoping to do. But I assume that what we'll wind up with is 2 phone numbers you could call that could also become part of this for pickup for your medications. And I guess you'd be most likely to call the pharmacy that you got your medications from if you are getting them from one of the off-island pharmacies. So that gives us a fair amount of material, and then just sort of, we want to zero in on what belongs on the new version of this poster and how we want to get that word out, and if we want to get it out in any other way besides a poster. And then it's just a question of making sure it's displayed prominently at all kinds of places around the island that people frequent, like the post office and the dump.
Okay, so you want to come back to us in January with some of these questions tentatively answered?
Well, I'll have
And progress this?
I can sort of make a proposal as to what the smaller print might be changed to
Right.
here. Again, I'm wondering, I mean, Meg, you were nodding about the idea that, you know, we're trying to make some progress on locations on the island that could be pharmaceutical related.
We're trying, but, you know, I would say modify the document without a pharmacy location on there for now, just so that people have updated correct information. And then if we're able to situate a pharmacy and we can find a location, then we can add it.
Added to it. Okay, so anyway, I can certainly get it, I can for next month, perhaps just have a draft of a revised version of this for us to look at. And I'll have a conversation with Jen just to have one, just to say, and she may have some thoughts about what we could do, keeping it simple, stupid, in terms of the Dropbox and additional.
Yeah, and you can ask them about like the charcoal bags for,
Oh, yeah, actually, and Chief Reed did communicate back about that, and he had the suggestion that he thought it would be great if the WAC or the senior center wanted to help. So this is, just to catch us all up again, Meg had mentioned, and then I checked with Chief Reed, that in fact, activated charcoal, mixing activated charcoal, the police department has kits for activated charcoal that you mix with your pharmaceuticals. And apparently, I'm talking to ChatGPT a bunch about this. It's like, this is the way to, yeah, this is considered fairly safe. So the police have these kits. And so if you have drugs that you want to dispose of yourself, all you need is the kit. And so the senior center could be engaged in distributing kits to
The GAC neutralizes
the drugs, yeah. I mean, I haven't used the kits, but what does he say? Activated carbon neutralization kits. We also maintain activated carbon disposal pouches. They neutralize medicines safely for at-home disposal. Residents can pick them up at the PD at any time. If the WAC or senior center wants to help distribute or promote them, we can provide instructions and support for that outreach.
So you
they're easy to use.
put the pills,
You would take the bag,
yeah,
open it obviously, you put the pills in the bag, you put the charcoal in the bag, I think it actually comes in the bag already. You add water, you seal the bag, and you shake it up and it's done.
and you throw it out.
You throw it out. Because the pills will dissolve, the charcoal will neutralize everything, and then it's inert. Is the,
Wow.
So the question would, I mean, it would be nice to, I mean, again, I don't know how much people will actually read. On the other hand, if they have the problem, they probably will come up to the poster and take a look at it and read it. So if we can figure out a number, a call to get, you know, if you want to get dropped off. So, yeah, I mean, I could reach out. That's another thing I guess I could do is,
And we
besides
could
talking to
probably-
Jen, reach out to the senior center.
yeah, we could probably keep some here at town hall too, to distribute. If people want them, they can ask for them, we can give them out.
How about have them where, any place where you can buy the town garbage bags and
I
kind
mean,
of
that's.
figure out a way to
it's
kind of
here in
link.
IGA, so I mean, it would be easier for us to just do it here through the town buildings, I think. Right, because it's just here in the IGA.
Yeah, I don't know if IGA would be.
I'd rather keep it, yeah, to here, the senior center.
Okay.
Just like there is at the dump, whatever it is, one Monday a month where you do like flammable, you know, whatever. We can, we can publicize over time, like someday a month or a quarter. And, to like encourage people to just say, hey, this is a reminder, go through your cabinets this weekend and get rid of this stuff.
I mean, I guess there would be an argument that says the recycling center is a place to be able to
We could distribute
distribute,
it from the recycling center too.
right? Because that's people, that's the very person who's likely to be.
Yes.
Wait.
I knew I wasn't supposed to, so now I know.
Something about that seems fishy.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll get an update in January?
Yep.
Okay. Got it. All right, next, which is just on here because it's a periodic update so it doesn't fall through the cracks, is the irrigation subcommittee.
We are having a meeting tomorrow evening with irrigation and landscape contractors. So that will be telling, I guess, and it will be a good feedback point. And then we hope to create a little bit more aggressive schedule going into the new year to start tackling what the code could look like. Okay.
I actually think that meeting with the landscapers is a very important step for us.
Sure. I agree.
It'll be very productive. I just received an email that I'm going to forward to the subcommittee to look at of information that some of them have put together for us. So I'll send that out, and then yeah, we'll see how the meeting. But I'm excited for it. I think it'll go well.
Okay.
Tomorrow here.
It's just for the subcommittee.
Yeah. Just for the subcommittee and people we invited, landscapers. And
Okay.
All right. All right, so next on the agenda is item 12, which is how we're doing against our goals. Remember in June, we had a discussion, I think it was at the May meeting, around what our objectives are for the next 12 to 24 months. And I sent you all a memo on June 17th, pulled that together. Memos like that are useful if we come back to them. Memos like that are useless if we don't. So let's kind of tick through this. You have one in your pack. So the first category was expanding knowledge. And the first objective was improve quantitative understanding of the aquifer. And the second was build our understanding of long-term trends in aquifer quality. So there's a quantitative piece and a qualitative piece to that. I think we've clarified our process and our reasoning around drought restrictions. We got a process in place. Greg, Sean, you did that, the drafting of that. We got a process in place with Greg regularly reporting on well levels and well levels and precipitation. So that part of it seems to be working. I'm not sure we've gone deeper in terms of our understanding of the quantity of the flows and the quantitative issues around the aquifer. I'm wondering if anybody has any ideas about what more we could be doing in that area. I'm not, I'm happy to just kind of plant the question and come back in January and revisit it.
saltwater intrusion on the periphery is one aspect of that,
It is one aspect of that. You have an interesting sub-item, which I remember coming up. What ground cover best promotes aquifer recharge? I'd be interested in just doing a little bit of, I will take on doing a little bit of engaging Google and ChatGPT and Gemini and all the other resources just around that kind of ground cover question. It's an interesting landscaping issue and an interesting way of thinking about.
Okay.
As far as when it rains and snows, I think
Yes.
last year is a good example of if we don't get it in the winter season, we're in trouble.
Right. When does matter.
Yeah, when does, absolutely matters. Because the aquifer is not a bucket.
No.
So, and I'm thinking there's got to be a better term than drawdown, because that kind of implies you're sucking water out of a bucket. You're not.
Or a homogeneous sponge.
It's a very
layer.
leaky bucket.
It's a very leaky bucket. Yeah, and if you're not getting the water when it's flowing after it's rained and flowed through that, it's gone.
Right. So you lose it through the saltwater interface.
Yeah. Yeah. So when certainly matters. You're going to lose 3% a month, regardless of what happens.
Through the dispersion of the saltwater out.
Well, you're going to lose 50% during the course of a year
Yeah.
of the water that falls. So the 9 billion gallons that fall, 4.5 will flow out through the saltwater interface.
But we, I think
That's
I think
more
But
studies have shown.
That 4.5 though flows out regardless of when you get it.
Correct.
In other words, it's
It's
not
always gonna
linked
flow out, right?
to recharge. It's linked, it's just always
Always
happening.
happening, correct.
All right, so if you get the precipitation at a time of the year when it's not absorbed,
Correct, that would be a problem.
that's a problem.
Either if it runs off or if it's grabbed by the transpiration process.
Right.
Hence, if we see all this volatility, and the volatility is happening at the wrong times. So we are getting a lot of rain, we're getting it, and we're getting it always at the wrong time. It's, we're in trouble.
Potentially,
Yeah,
right.
Well, that's what happened last summer. You had the big influx.
yeah.
Not this summer, 2 summers ago. In 24, you had the big, that's why you had the big peak.
Ponds and,
Yeah, no, that was even, but no, you were pointing out on Greg's well charts.
Yeah.
Yes.
You had that one summer, which is an extreme. All the others are generally average.
But you're saying it was lost.
Yeah, it's going to be lost. Yeah, you're not going to store it.
Right.
Well, okay, you're not going to store it. So there was very interesting, there are a lot of threads coming together at the same time, having to do with quantity of water in the aquifer and quantity of water that we can or can't store. One of the things that we became aware of this last summer during the drought was one of the main issues was fire hazard. And one of the things that became clear at the island vulnerabilities meeting that happened last week was that the wells that we do have in the areas of the island that are the fire hydrants that we do have in the areas of the island that are not served by public water, like the Heights and West Neck, are cisterns. And the reason they're cisterns is because you can't pump water that fast to put out a fire. You need to have, so every time you see, like along St. Mary's or whatever, when you see a fire hydrant, or now in Shelterlands, when you see a fire hydrant, you're seeing a big cistern storing up water. And we need those everywhere. And we need these for fire hazard mitigation purposes, but it gives us a place to stick water.
How are those cisterns recharged?
Well, obviously, you're coming to there's no pipe leading to it, right? So a truck is coming with water and filling that. So that truck should be filled at a time when you have lots and lots of water and there's no issue. And the water should be put away into cisterns all over the island.
If the fire,
Where's the truck getting the water from?
fire
The
chiefs were
cistern?
listening to this, what would they be saying?
Sorry?
If the fire chiefs were listening to this, what would they
They'd
be
be
saying?
saying each one of those cisterns is incredibly expensive.
Yeah,
They're expensive to put in the
They're
ground.
expensive. And it's not the solution. Like if there's a real fire, that cistern is just to bridge the gap between
Or they get in the ocean.
water on the truck and finding another draw source, like your swimming pool or the bay. So while the cisterns are great, they're not going to put out your house fire. They're going to help them buy the time they need to find another source to draw from. So they kind of bridge the gap.
do you have a sense of how expensive?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I have to look it up, but 100,000 maybe? I have to look. It depends on the size of the cistern and the amount of equipment they're using to pump, like the type of pump, the size of pump,
I didn't know they were cisterns. Just an interesting one of, if you have a homeowners association that wants to protect the community, it's one,
You might want to have.
you can raise your own money and potentially put one in, like, just, out there, right?
Again, given that we have periods of time the wrong periods of time when water is not falling, the more places we can have storage, the better. whether that's a water tower, a cistern, irrigation cistern, or a fire hydrant.
Has the fire department mapped out areas of different vulnerability to
I'm
fire?
pretty sure they have a plan for how they treat each area of the island. Like they have, we have town landings that they've identified that they would use to draw from for very specific communities. So they've gone through and kind of figured out how they would approach each area of the island. So they do have a plan.
Are there areas of the island which they think are more at risk than others?
I'm not sure, I'd have to ask them. I don't know.
Because there are areas of the island that are a long way away from salt water.
Yeah, but so many people have swimming pools now. They'll drain your pool, your neighbor's pool, your neighbor's pool. I mean, it's, yeah.
When you had that fire at the house on West Neck, it was pretty alarming to see how long a hose they ran all the way down West Neck to get in the bay. You're like, wow, like that's scary that they got to run all that hose. It takes a while to get it out.
Yes.
But, you know,
And the longer the hose is, the less water you can pull through it. That's just hydraulics.
yeah.
And it's a lot of manual labor for our fire department.
Aging fire department, yeah.
Especially at the end of the fire to try to roll it all back up.
Yeah.
Well, then you have to clean it all because it's all salt water.
It's a lot, it's exhausting.
Right. Okay, so this discussion of quantitative issues related to the aquifer. Are there any, are there any areas of additional inquiry here that we should delve into? I actually wouldn't mind a presentation by the fire department
About how they.
about where these cisterns are,
Mhm.
how big they are,
Mhm.
what they cost,
How they get filled.
how they get filled, what their strategy is.
Mhm.
Um,
You have a question online.
Oh,
Stella.
Stella, yes.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, Stella.
I don't know if this is helpful to you, but there are ISO ratings for the town with respect to insurance companies and how they base their insurance premiums. And for our town, the Heights and Deering Harbor are rated a 5. I believe it's a 10-point scale. And the rest of the island is rated as an 8B. And the lower you are rated, the better. So that's something that is done every several years. It's they're called public protection classifications.
You're paying more insurance for not having a fire hydrant nearby.
Right.
Correct.
I mean, that's why the Heights has that tank up above Goat Hill. I mean, that tank is for fire protection. I mean, it has a lot of purposes, but, so,
And the reservoir as well.
yes, that's right.
Anyway, if that helps, thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Stella. Okay, so let's think about, and maybe we have a discussion.
Yeah.
You're more familiar with I'm familiar with fire protection and water companies because
Right.
actually water companies,
Real infrastructure.
yeah, that's why they size their mains as big as they do
Right.
for fire protection. That's what tanks are for. But it would be interesting to hear, the fire department's perspective on firefighting strategy, risk areas and so forth, kind of across the island.
Yeah, I had an interesting conversation with Reed at one point, talking when we were discussing cisterns and irrigation. And he's like, well, it would be really great if those cisterns could double as a fire backup, someplace where the fire department could draw if your house is on fire, both your cistern, your swimming pool, and, whatever else is available. So I was like, that is actually a very interesting idea. So looking to see if there's a way to make them useful for more than just irrigation.
It's to speak to Dave's point, it's given that the water that we don't use this year is not available next year. in those years where we are just overflowing, banking that water away in all these places would be extremely
Right.
useful.
Okay, let's go to the next one, which is quality. We have a number of testing efforts going. Okay? We have the center triangle testing effort going. We have a place where people can deposit their results on a voluntary basis. We've had the chloride testing going. Thoughts on this?
You're doing well in that.
Yeah, I think we're doing
Okay.
as many things as we can, I think, at the moment, until we get one further on down the road that we can look at something else.
Okay, all right. Institutional structures for community water systems. This is something that we need to do, but I suggest we do it. In the context, I suggest we do it once we get the results from the center triangle study, depending on what those results are. Because if we get concentrations of non-potable wells and so forth that kind of lends it, that point us towards that, we're really going to need to understand this.
Yeah. And I have not done, Google searches on what people have done when they want to create and update their water systems. And it's a 61-page document. This is the engineering study that was done up in Rush, New York. And I think there seems to be a lot of regulations that the state has on who's going to pay for the infrastructure and all that stuff. And I don't understand that at all, really, at this point. And I think it would be beneficial to figure out who could we ask, you being, son of a gun, it's not on here, but you're the first person to ask. And just get a feeling, what are the requirements legally, and who are the people involved and all that?
Right.
Because I think that one thing that we would not want to go into is do the center testing and come up and say, oh, we have all these issues, and then discover that it's a very complicated topic in terms of, Hay Beach does it. I don't get involved in it in stay one. Dave does. He gets involved in it, and then 2 years later or somewhere down the line, I say, gee, I'd like to get involved. I should do it. The regulation, the legal significance of me coming in late. Do I pay for it? Who doesn't pay? There's a lot of who pays what and all that, and. So what I have at this point is just this, a little, to a certain extent, kind of throw up my hands and say, this is really, really complicated, but I've been busy, so.
Okay, so it's very complicated, and getting into this topic in the absence of a particular problem you're trying to solve or area you're trying to serve becomes a real trip down the rabbit hole. And so I would rather hold on this one first until we get our center triangle testing results back to see what, and handle this in the context of developing alternatives for dealing with those results, whatever those results tell us. And those results may say, there's no issue here. Those results may say, there is an issue here. I don't have a clue. And I'd rather wait until then. I've had a little experience presenting hypothetical cost. Okay, and while I stand by my analysis, I would say that it was a character building experience. Okay, so I don't really want another one. What?
said you're so kind.
Yeah, until, I don't really want another one, until we have a particular issue we're trying to solve. Then we're going to get into it.
And not to take for granted, but I don't think we're flat-footed either. There's a lot of institutional knowledge already here that we've already had conversations, and you can learn a lot pretty damn quickly from talking to the right people or looking at the right documents, or even if that's not exactly what you're going to replicate. So there is, even just the time we sat down and talked to Joe about what the system looked like and how it came about and what, some of that, it's like, there's a lot of knowledge there.
Right. So I want to hold on that one. That's okay.
Okay.
All right, public education,
So we've talked a lot about some of it.
Yeah.
which?
Well, we've
Public
talked about
education?
we've
Yeah.
talked a lot of, today, we've talked a lot about, water quality testing weekend and obviously the educational value of doing the saltwater intrusion testing that we've been doing. Potential community sources is a topic that, I hesitate to get into it at this time, but I'm curious as to, whether we can have some test wells done for the center area. Obviously, what matters, as you say, is having a real problem to solve. But having potential for solutions requires knowing what the water quality of is available to us in places that we've, Sachems and other places that we've thought about in this near the center.
We did have, again, and not leaning into anything, but we did say at one point, wasn't there as part of one of the USGS studies that they could potentially going to put a well in, not for use, but for testing or otherwise in Sachem Woods, that would give you the opportunity to test the quality of the water potentially, right? So, that's out there. That is something that will come about, that gives you a...
Well, we're hopeful that it will come about.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
The wells are in.
Test wells.
The wells are, yeah.
Yeah.
So we should have test information about, you're saying in Sachems?
Yeah.
Okay.
Both of those wells are done.
Okay.
So, and then the government shut down. So we're waiting for them to catch up with their paperwork and get us information.
So we should have some strong data about what the quality is of
Hopefully in the
there.
new year.
Great.
Okay. But what you're launching in terms of this weekend,
Well, I think
Is-
that could potentially, if you get the right traction.
Yes.
If you get people, and like I said, you just don't know, a lot of people are going to turn around and go home, and they're just, that there's only so much you can do, and that's one of the, but if you get traction, it will drive our agenda, because you'll have people coming to us saying, I'm concerned, I'm not concerned, I'm,
Yeah.
that. So, I think it potentially creates a whole different dynamic if we can, hit the right
That's what
spots.
that's what I'm hoping the saltwater thing.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. It's all pieces of it that will create momentum, yeah.
okay, watching the clock. The triangle, we got the center triangle, that's underway. And we agreed to defer Bridge Street until we make progress on this.
Excuse me.
And I'm quite eager to progress the center triangle and then to get on to Bridge Street. Every time I drive here, I drive over the bridge, the two bridges, and I say to myself,
I don't want to know.
well, I'm saying to myself, this is a community resource that isn't being fully utilized, that area. And water and wastewater are a big piece of the reason why. So, but, okay, that comes next, that comes second. Let's do the center triangle first, and we're underway to do that. Okay. So I thought about what we're doing relative to those goals. And I said to myself, this is probably B+, very, certainly, we're doing okay. That was my reaction. If there's anybody from the public who has,
Wants to give us a lower rating.
yeah, or has issues that they think we should address, that's what we're here to listen.
Yep.
So this was a public process of developing that list of goals and objectives. So, and that's a live document. So we don't want to be locked into it. So we're happy to revisit it. So we've come to 14. Any other business?
If I could just have 5 minutes to give a quick update.
Yes.
I'll try to be quick. So I know I had mentioned to you, I reached out over the summer to the folks at Mashomic, because it's always been one of those things of they had so much institutional knowledge and so many scientists on, working within TNC. I mean, they're solving these kind of water problems in Ghana, right? And they're right in our backyard, but also knowing that they're not just lend their resources out, for free and they're going to give us a whole crew or what have you. But just so happened that one of the things they were working on is they had a team of scientists that were meeting in August to discuss marsh restoration for certain parts of Mashomic. And they were meeting again as a follow-up, and I spoke to kind of the lead scientists, I think, for the East Coast for TNC that does a lot of that type of work. What we tentatively agreed is that it'd be great if she could come at some point and give a presentation to us about the types of things that they're doing and some of the conclusions that they're drawing, because whatever they're doing there is true of the other parts of Shelter Island as well. And just very briefly, what they seem to partially be focusing on is looking at where historically there were farmlands along the shore in the Mashomic area, and where land was manipulated such that it is hurting the long-term viability of the marshlands. And there is, I think you can, if you've seen it both I've seen it on TV and whatever, but similar, what they're talking about is cutting down some of the grasses in the marsh and then strategically putting them in the depressions where that shouldn't be there. And that over time it builds up the silt and a base, and so that they can regenerate and restore. I don't think it's a new novel idea. I've seen it in other National Geographic and other things where they're kind of like weaving beds and kind of like creating something to hold structure together and rebuilds. But I thought it'd be interesting, one, because they're going through the process and they're doing it on for Mashomic. They've also doing, I think they said Brookhaven or some other TNC locations on Long Island, but they're going through the process with their relationship with the DEC and the like, so that they kind of have a programmatic way of doing that. And so there are surely other areas around Shelter Island that would benefit from similar type of work. What I promised her I'd do, and I'm doing, is I reached out to the Historical Society to look for historical maps of farmlands that were out in near shore areas, so that they would have a similar pattern of altering the natural state that could potentially then kind of, be rebuilt of sorts. And lastly, I said, well, that's great, but what about where it's not farmlands? What about if it's just like destruction from storm, what have you? And she said, well, at some point we don't try to fiddle with what nature is doing. This is very specific, where man altered something and we're, trying to kind of think it. But it's true that you could use that same type of thought process of building up kind of the marsh again. And I think of it every time when I drive the loop on West Neck along the shore, where it always floods there on the interior of West Neck Bay. And how short those little marshlands are coming. And so I'll investigate it. I'd like her to come in at some point, because it is kind of one of those things of maybe if it becomes programmatic, there is a volunteer corps that can take some areas and choose to try to do similar work to just slowly, kind of help our nearshore areas, which does help for saltwater intrusion and the like. So.
Got it. Okay. So would you like to invite her.
Well, I would just, yeah, I'm doing the kind of looking at the Historical Society maps and doing whatever. They're having another meeting of themselves. And then I think, maybe sometime in the March area, we could invite her in and she would Zoom or come in person and just explain at greater length what I just said. And we could brainstorm a little bit because we are talking a lot about the underground water, but we also talk about protecting our shores, which is the saltwater intrusion part of it and the health of our bays and the like. So.
Okay. Got it? All right. Anything else from the committee members?
Just one question on confirm the 2026 meeting dates.
Yes. So the only issue I had, Jessica, was the August meeting, which is now set for the 17th, isn't it?
It can, yeah, we have it for the 17th, but does that not work, or?
It's better for me if it's earlier,
Okay.
like the 10th, which is pretty close to with the July meeting, I know, but my wife and I have a trip
Yeah. Okay.
set for then.
Let me double check and I can confirm that for you.
Okay, otherwise, I didn't have any other changes.
Right now, the seat's open, it's a town board meeting and 3 p.m. in the morning, but that 2 o'clock
Yeah.
space.
And I think that should be fine, so we can say August.
One date was, I think, on Yom Kippur. I'm not certain, though. I can't see it.
I didn't check it against all the religious holidays.
I only checked it against when town halls closed
Okay.
and when there's other meetings, but
And for some reason, I wrote that the meetings are 2:30, but they're still at 2 o'clock,
They're
right?
2.
2 o'clock.
2 o'clock,
Okay.
2 to 4. Right.
I went through the calendar and said, okay, let's make it 2:30. What the hell?
Sounds good.
Anything else for the good of the order, particularly from the members of the public on Zoom? No, okay. Can I have hearing nothing, could I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you, everybody.
So